Hi, everybody. Um, so you've, well, let's see, wait till a few people come back here. So you've heard me say, as a way of grossly oversimplifying Qigong, what Qigong is, that, or what the reason for it is to do it, is basically to feel good at a lot of different levels. And that is true. Um, and So that involves, well, feeling good in a lot of different ways. And one way is feeling joy. That can definitely touch into that when we're doing these practices. Uh, and To that end, there actually is there is a branch of Qigong um, that's called spontaneous Qigong. And we haven't really done that yet, but we're going to tonight. And so this spontaneous Qigong can involve uh, putting together movements that or postures that you already know, and just letting one flow into the next one. That's fine. It can also involve sort of moving in a way that would be included in the Qigong basics, but maybe isn't an exact move that you've been taught. And that's fine too. Um, so what we want to do generally is to keep our feet rooted. There are a few situations, movements and so on, where you don't. Like for instance, crane walks the riverbank. You're doing a walking kind of movement, and there's bear movements, and uh, there's various martial arts movements and one-legged postures and so on. But that's a small minority of the movements or of the things that we do. So when you're doing spontaneous qigong, you want to keep your feet rooted in general, um, and you want to move in accordance with your breath. That's another fundamental aspect of qigong. And you want to be balancing body, breath, and mind. So, it means engaging the mind in some way when you're doing the movements. So, as long as you're observing those sort of basic qigong qualities, of relaxation and alertness, really, whatever moves you want to do, as long as they're in that basket, are fine. Okay. And there aren't a lot of teachers who would say this. I've actually encountered a couple who do. Mostly it's taught formally, which means that here are the forms. And you do, this is a 7-form qigong, and you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're going to do the same every time. And that's generally how it's been taught and how it still is taught. And that I do teach that way sometimes, and that's good to know. But it's also good to remember that this is the path of liberation, of freedom. And so to trust your intuition and allow your body to kind of go into the movements that it feels like doing. That's qigong too. And so nobody's going to be watching you. Everyone's going to be doing their own version of this, so you don't have to feel self-conscious. Or if you really want to, you could shut your video if you don't want anybody to see what you're doing. That's fine too. But we're going to be going into a period of that. We'll start with warm-ups and I'll suggest a few variations on some of the movements, and then we'll go into a period of just spontaneous Qigong. Another thing that's true about Qigong is it's always practiced in silence. I shouldn't say always, but traditionally, almost always practiced in silence. And that's not necessary either. So if you have music, any kind of music that you really like, if you're going to do Qigong practice, put on your music and, move with that music, whatever that might be. And that's totally great. I've done that a number of times. And then it becomes kind of a dance-like thing. And that's wonderful too. So if there are there any questions about that spontaneous Qigong? Okay. All right. I will adjust my view here for the YouTube people, and we will get started. Okay, so just for an example, like if you're doing this Tai Chi warm-up, this basic Tai Chi twist warm-up, there are many ways to do it. So you know the basic movement, and you understand about shifting the weight and turning the waist, bending the knee, and letting the arms be loose, and the organization of body, breath, and mind, and moving with the breath. So you've got all that down. And so you can do this movement this in many different ways. So you can do it sort of very gently like this. Some people do it very energetically, where you're slapping your sides. Some people do this regularly. You're kind of slapping your kidneys with the back of your hand, and you're slapping the sides. And this is kind of a waking up. You're doing this to kind of wake yourself up. So if you're feeling, a little lethargic or whatever, you do this movement to wake yourself up, and do it. You can do it like this. You can do it really big. It's the same movement from the waist down. It's the same movement, but this gives you a different emotional feeling, when you're doing it like this. And this is more of a cardiovascular workout. This is. Now there's a reverse way to do this too, where you sit back and turn into it. It's kind of a backhand way to do it. And all of these are fine. So just don't feel constrained or just sort of mindless that you have to do this the same way every time. You're still doing the movement. It's still Qigong. Okay, very good. So let's go into Trembling Mountain, but let's just start doing it fairly slowly. We're used to doing this rapidly. And there are whole lineages of Qigong where they sort of bounce through all the movements. Even Tai Chi, I've seen people do Tai Chi like this, where you're really feeling the breath. and you're moving with the breath. Okay. And now let's just add in the twist. So you see how this bouncing goes right into the twist, and you can exaggerate it or make it more subtle. So that's another way that you can, individualize the movements if you like this bouncing part of that. So let's just, as an example, let's just do cloud hands. So normally when we're doing cloud hands, we're doing that more or less, we're doing that Tai Chi twist, but we're moving the hands in this way. But you can do this with the bouncing. So, and what they'll say is that the bouncing is your heartbeat. It's faster. And then the turning is your breath. So you see how this adds another dimension to cloud hands. So it's adding the trembling mountain to cloud hands. Another way to do it. Okay, and now you can make the cloud hands more expressive. This isn't exactly cloud hands anymore, but it's still following the Qigong, basics, the qualities. So, okay, move back to cloud hands. So this is all, spontaneous, just going according to what feels right. Okay. And then if you really, want to drop into stillness, then you reduce the bouncing. Okay, so it's just the breath then. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So those are just a few examples of ways to customize these movements or experiment with them maybe. Okay, let's just loosen up head, neck, and shoulders. Okay, and then expanding the breath. Okay, so now we're moving the whole body with the breath. And now we can add in the bouncing to this if we want to. We're moving the arms with the breath. And so this is going to involve more of the concentration. The mind is going to be more in the body. It's a little more complicated. So this is going to prevent the mind from running a lot more than if we're just sort of doing a movement that doesn't take much concentration. So you can add this element to this if you want. You're still following the breath with the hands. And of course, this is more of a workout. This will get your heart pumping. Okay, let's just do 2 more. Okay, so we won't do the hips and balance tonight. So let's go into well, let's do backwash. Do backwash and tree and spring. So then the backwash. And when you get bent over, you can twist side to side a little bit if you want to. You can also go all the way down into a squat. Can't see me, but you can go down and go into a full squat. That it's often taught like that. And then, so now, and then tree and spring. Let's do the second one with the bouncing. Okay, and then do the third one either still or with bouncing. Okay, and backwash again. Okay, and then coming back up. So I think the more movement we put into this bouncing, it tires us out a little bit, allows us to relax more in the stillness positions. Okay, let's go ahead and do Trembling Mountain and just feel into this. Do you want to do this real rapidly? Do you want to do it real deeply? Do you want to just barely do it at all? Just try out ways to do this. Okay, let's increase the intensity a bit. Okay, and we'll stop on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll start doing some side to side movements and turning the body to look at the moon. So Teacher Lee says you don't move the arms, you just move the shoulder, just lift the shoulder. Okay. And then you just gradually increase the movement. And then the hands, the palms will be opposite. And so this is driven by the turning of the waist and the dipping of the knees. So this movement is driven by the thighs and the waist. Now you can keep doing this level of the movement, and or you can bounce through this movement. Totally fine. Or you can expand the movement. It can get very big. Just let go of the arms. The visualization is the momentary full moon between the hands. Okay. And you can just feel into this movement and do it very subtly or do it big. Okay, good. And we'll do another side to side one. So diagonal flying starts out like cloud hands. So sit and wind up, send the hands out. Okay, just reduce the movement. Okay, and let's go into the Qigong movement. Again, this can be a very big movement, or it can be much more subtle. So this is a centering movement. The others were side to side. Cloud hands, turning the body to look at the moon, diagonal flying. This is a centering one. And you can do this gently, you can do it subtly, or you can do it as a very expansive movement. Okay, very good. Reduce that movement. So we're just developing a stable of movements here to do with our spontaneous. Now we'll do front to back. So turning the waist. Same thing, dipping the knees, letting the arm go. Yeah, let's do a couple more on each side. Okay, return to standing. Okay, so now we'll just go into a period of free movement. So, so we did cloud hands. We did turning the body to look at the moon. We did diagonal flying. We did microcosmic orbit. We did front to back. And any of the other movements that you know that you've done or that you haven't done. And we'll just take about 10 minutes and go ahead and just begin with any of these and let them morph. Let it gradually morph into another movement, and just enjoy the movement of the body. Don't worry about doing it right. Just whatever you want to do. Okay, let's segue into flying cranes, however you want to do flying cranes. So we all kind of end up more or less in the same place. There are many variations of flying crane. Okay, and then as you're ready, then just reduce the movements. And then when you're ready, then just drop into the standing one position. Okay. And then just reestablish your vertical alignment, um, dropping to the center of the earth and then up through the body, then up into the universe. And just cultivate this stillness. Okay. And then bring the hands to the lower dantian, the middle dantian. And this is to, what they would say is this is to bring all the chi, the energy of all those movements, and pack it into the torso. Okay, very good. Let's bring up our stool. And just loosen up your body before you find that aligned, still posture. Just just loosen your body so that it can relax. And then when your body feels, relaxed, warm, then you can either just drop into the posture or just sort of slowly kind of assemble the posture by dropping the chin a little, pulling the shoulders back a little, maybe arching the back just a little if you need to, and forming your hand mudras. And just let that aligned posture, just let it come into being. That's all. Okay. So let's continue the spontaneous Qigong, and we'll go into moving in stillness. So this is where we're remembering the movements that we did, and feeling them in the body and moving with the breath, imagining the movements with the breath. And then allowing the movements that you did for those 10 minutes, allowing them to morph if they want to. Okay. And so we're not just imagining doing the movements, we're imagining that and feeling in the body, feeling the feelings of doing the movements. You can add music if you like or whatever, but you can just play with this. You can allow yourself to smile a little. You can let your body get very, very big, get very loose. You can allow the movements to expand a lot. You can bring in color or music, anything. This is spontaneous, so anything that you want to embellish the movements while you're in stillness. Okay, allow the feelings of the movements to penetrate every cell in the body. Every cell is alive. That aliveness is tingling and warmth. Every cell in the body is alive. The body is radiant. And joyful. And then you can naturally allow all of that internal movement, you can naturally allow it to calm down. So the movement in the body is the vibrating of all the cells with life. It's constant movement. And then the movement of the heart, movement of the lungs, movement of the blood. In this stillness, there is an incredible amount of movement. Okay, and let's take a few more breaths and then just slowly and gently then come out of the meditation. Okay, very good. Let's do our closings. We'll clap our hands. 1, 2, 3. And then just massage your face, head, jaws, ears. Just relaxing all the muscles in the face. Okay, well, you may have noticed that by doing all the movement and doing it with, with awareness, that when it came time to do this sitting meditation, we were already, it was very, very natural to just be completely concentrated in the sitting practice without the sort of wandering mind and all of that. That all of that movement brings up so much energy and at the same time relaxes us so that when we do our sitting practice, we're right away, we go into this sort of concentrated state. And that's one of the benefits of Qigong. So thank you so much for your presence and for your practice. And if you would like to stay for conversation, please do so. And if you would like to exit the Zoom, that's just fine.